Hey everyone, just wanted to come on here for a minute and talk a little bit about Dad Challenge Podcast again, because he never fails when it comes to providing content creators with material. I usually start off with giving a little backstory of, who the person is I'm doing a video on. However, I just recently did a video about 2 weeks ago about Dad Challenge Podcast, so that'll be linked in the description. You can go and I'll timestamp it for you to get, little backstory of who the hell he is. Anyhow, moving on. So, since I did the first video that I did 2 weeks ago, I have been thinking about doing another video on Dad Challenge Podcast, aka Josh. I guess mostly because I wanted to see if he would address the fact that he lied about the secrets of his church and him being a quote-unquote whistleblower. But of course he doubled down in the original video that I showed in that video that I made 2 weeks ago, and, that was that. But, of course, every video that Josh puts out, there's some kind of contradiction or hypocrisy, and in the last couple weeks, I've come across a few things that I'd like to address. But first, I wanted to address something that he did this week to a content creator. He filed 3 copyright strikes on a creator that I don't remember how many subs this person had, not very many, and got their channel terminated. The reason why he did this is because I think that he knew this person was not going to appeal these strikes, because when you appeal a strike on YouTube, you have to give your personal information. And we all know he's not past putting people's information out there. We all remember what he did in 2020 to YouTuber headlines. Anyhow, I want to get back to some of the things I saw over the last couple weeks that I wanted to talk about. So in the last 2 weeks, he has shared his life story. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So in part 1 of his story, he started to talk a little bit about his abuse and his ethnicity and, the culture that his mother came from and all that good stuff. So I also wanted to put a little side note out here that nobody should have to live the life that Josh led. And I'm not making fun of his abuse or his story or anything like that. I just wanted to call something out that I noticed. Let me play you a clip.
You can see there that they're happy there, but my mom was adopted from birth. Did not know her biological family until she was 27 years old.
So I watched that, and then just randomly for some reason in my recommended, after I had, been watching his life story in the last couple weeks, a recommendation for his commentary on the Prince family came up. And in this video that Josh reacted to, the Prince family's grandpa came to babysit the kids and ended up supposedly hitting them with a belt, although you could totally tell it was fake. Let me play you a small clip of what I found.
I grew up in a culture like this. My mother grew up in a culture like this, okay? Native and Jamaican culture is my mom, okay? Half Native, half Jamaican. That is my mom. Micmac tribe, she's indigenous. Okay, my mom was raised before she was adopted by a family where whooping culture was part of it, and pass that whooping culture onto us. And so I am very, very much against hitting your children at all. Ever. I will never do it because I was beat so many times, and I remember every single one of them.
I mean, so what is it? She was adopted at birth or adopted as a child? Because those are 2 very different stories that you've told here, Josh. And I'm not saying that his mother wasn't whooped as a child by her adopted parents, but that's not what he said in this video here at all. See, it's things like this, though. It's things like this that kind of, it's damaging to his credibility. Not only is he mean and nasty and shames moms and some dads, but he's also a liar. Anyhow, moving on. I had mentioned another creator before, not another housewife. Now, see, I was going to do a video on him for the longest time, and I ended up not doing it, calling out the hypocrisy of him having his children on his channel, but, bashing other creators that put their kids on their channel and all that stuff. And she covered it on her channel, and she did a really good job. Well, there was this video that he did a Drake parody called Dad Life, where he had his kids running around in diapers, nothing but a diaper, where he even had his kid in the tub. And in a video more recently I saw, and I can't find it anywhere, he spoke on how he took that off of his channel and how he was like, wow, I guess he had a come to Jesus moment, and he was like, this is inappropriate. I shouldn't have this on my channel, after people have been calling it out for a long time. He finally took it down, and I believe it was March of 2022. Well, I was over on his channel, looking around, and what do I see? He didn't take that video down. He moved it to members only. And he didn't edit anything out of it. So basically, his whole thing is don't exploit your children. Don't monetize your children. Well, he literally just monetized his children. So it's him literally like, you know what? my videos might be monetized, but you're definitely going to have to pay $2 to see this. Which is whatever. I feel like the video's innocent. I'm not saying that the video's inappropriate, but what he preaches, actually, he probably shouldn't have had his little girl in the tub, but what he preaches is, don't put your kids on the internet, especially don't put them half naked or whatever, which he's done here. I agree that people should not exploit their children. However, you know what? It's their business if they want to have their kids on their channel. As long as they're not like, totally invading their privacy, like, I don't think you should put online, like, when your kid gets their period and, you know what I mean? Or, put them in really bad situations. I don't think it's cool to do stupid pranks on your kids about your parents cheating on each other, even though, common sense will tell you that all those pranks are fake. The only part that I really do agree with is that money needs to be set aside for these kids, like a Coogan account of some kind. And I get that creators put themselves out there for criticism when they're putting their families online and how they parent and all that. But the same goes for Josh. The same goes for you, Josh. And he's always on about how, like Maia Knight, for example, her going into that restaurant or bar. He always says those restaurants are bars. It's so funny. Anyhow, like, that people came up to her and were like, hey, it's Maia Knight, and took pictures of her and her kids. And also that other family blogging channel, Van Life, I think it is, or Van Fam, or something like that. They were, taking professional pictures on a beach, and some guy came up and snapped some shots, which I also think was fake. But anyhow, Josh was like, you're putting your kids out there. You guys are famous now. You guys are public figures. You need to expect this. Well, you have 118,000 subscribers, so you're a public figure too. How would you handle that, Josh? Some strangers coming up and taking pictures of you and your kids, because your kids are technically on your channel. Because there's still 2 videos up with your children in them that are not set to members. And even if they are set to members, anybody can buy a membership. He will over-exaggerate and sometimes outright lie to drive his point home and get his supporters all riled up. Let me play you one more clip before I wrap this up.
Super easy to find Maya. I'm telling you this because of the 8 million fans that she has on TikTok. Likely there's probably a few thousand predators in there. A few thousand predators of 8 million. Okay, maybe 100,000 predators is what I'm telling you. Okay? It's not an uncommon thing. Actually, I spoke to somebody who worked at a prison. In the prison, they were allowed to have internet. And a lot of these prisoners who were in there for SA and for, like, R and all that kind of stuff and Plutos and all that stuff were in there for that. You know what they watched? Because the prison couldn't filter it out. They watched family vloggers. So up to the point where they had to remove YouTube and all the family vloggers because these predators were watching that for the content that they could get because they couldn't get the other stuff. So they would default to this. That's got to mean something.
I call BS on this because it's my understanding that you have to be like a very well-behaved inmate to have internet access, and that people that are in there for SA and other types of, SEX crimes would not be allowed internet access. This sounds like something that he read out of a comment thread on Reddit or something. And this is an example of some of the over-exaggerations and lies that are put in place to get all of his supporters worked up, just like I said. And let me tell you, those supporters get really worked up. I've seen more than one live stream or premiere where they're in the chat saying, oh, CPS needs to be called about this. Oh my God. Like, seriously. Another thing Josh likes to do, he likes to shame the mommy vloggers who have overshared about their, SEX life or have been SEX workers in the past. Well, in his life story, he speaks on how when he was 17 or 18 years old, he was staying with this Christian family, and they specifically asked him not to look up adult content on the internet, and he got caught doing that and got kicked out of the house. So I don't see how that's any different. I don't think your kids should be embarrassed. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying I don't see how it's any different. Anyhow, there is so much more I could call out. So many more little things I found, like inconsistencies and, him being a hypocrite and contradicting himself and whatever. But I'm going to end the video here. Maybe I'll make another video about him in a week or two. Anyhow, I hope y'all liked the video. Love y'all.